Hello and welcome to this video on Advanced Find. Advanced Find is one of the best things that you could learn when you're working with Dynamics because regardless of what application you use, customer service, marketing, sales, field service, Advanced Find is going to be your friend. What you see right now on my screen is basically the new version of Advanced Find. You see it says select a table to search. So it allows you to basically search tables. And I see a list of all these tables. And why do I see only these tables? Because you could also say, I do have a lot of more tables, but I only see these. How do I search for other tables? We're going to get to that as well. But this is a new advanced find. So when you want to search for accounts within your environment and you click continue, it basically opens the default account view that you currently have. So it shows me there are 4 records in total, and that's why the view is also called my active accounts, and it shows me the filters that are used to show these records. So advanced find is nothing but a sort of view for you to basically have a look at using certain filters. In this case, the filter is it shows me all the accounts where I am the owner. So it says owner equals current user and status equals active. Let's try to make it a bit more useful and see how we can use this in our day-to-day lives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose actually a different record type so that we have more options to filter from. So I'm going to say cases. When I click on cases, it shows me all my active cases. It already opens the filter for me what's applied. I don't necessarily need to actually use the screen. I can always cancel it and re-trigger it again if I want to filter on cases. I can click again on filters and it shows me what is the current filter that's applied to the screen that I'm currently working on. So you see that when I click on edit filters, it says my active cases basically is where owner equals current user and status equals active. But if I go back and I say, give me all the cases, then it says 17 records, right? So now I can say edit filter, nothing. And if you want to recreate a view like that, you can say add a row, owner equals current user. You have more options as well, but I'm just going to quickly make it simple for now. And then we deep dive later on. And we say this. So what you see now is all cases shows only a limited records. That's why it's called all cases with an asterisk, which means that there is an additional filter on top of the current view. And when I click on edit filter, it says this. And when I remove it and I say apply, the asterisk goes away. In the same way that you applied filters, you can also include more columns. So when you click on added columns, you can easily change the priority. Say if I want to have customer not all the way here, but a bit above, I can do this. I can move priority here. I can say I want to see the created on before. But if you also want to add more columns, you can quickly easily add. Say I want to say I want to also see who created the case, and I want to see the email description. I want to see the description itself, and I see these things appeared here. I say I want the email address next to the customer, so I put it over there, and I said apply, and now you see the new and changed view. In this new advanced find, what now you see is that you started working with all cases, then you added some extra let's say columns, and I can also say I want to only work where I am the owner and say apply. So now I see all the cases in my own view where I have my own columns in the right order, and now I'm ready. So if I'm an end user, this might be quite tempting for me to create my own view and then say if I want to save this view, I can easily save it and say all cases and so that my active cases in my style. Ah, and then save. What you see now is that this is the new view. What's different is that you see that a new view is always going to appear for you, and there is a small icon here which points to the fact that it's a personal view. So this view you created for yourself and it will not be available for anyone else. So if you have a colleague, they will not be seeing this view unless you share it to them, which is always a possibility. You can always share a view as well. When you have this view, you can click here and say manage and share views, and I can share it to anyone that I want. So I will select this view and I will say I will say share. Then I can specify anyone that I want. I can specify a user or a team. So if I want to share it to my whole department, I can do it from here. So I just need to search it here and I'll see. I have so many options. I can choose my own account, for example, and I say this is shared to this person and give them the option to have the access to the view, which means read. But you can also give them the option to also write it, which means they can also edit it. I wouldn't recommend giving them the delete option because you created a view and someone by mistake can also delete it. And you can also give them additional permissions to assign this view to someone else, or share it to someone else. So that's also a good thing, because tomorrow, if let's say you leave the company and then there is no way for you to actually reassign it to someone else, but if you gave this option to someone that they can always assign to someone else, then they can also do that themselves. And when you click on share, then this view will be visible also to the new person that you shared. In the same way that I shared it to a user, you can always share it to a team as well. But this is the max that you would want to know about when it comes to views and advanced find. I want to also take you to the other advanced find, which I'm a big fan of, and I still like that more, even we have this new one. And there are reasons for that. And what are those reasons? Let's get into that. In the meantime, it opens. I want to show you one limitation of this view is that when I open the advanced find from the app itself, it only shows me the records, or I want to say table, that are basically added to this app. So customer service workspace has a limited scope. It works with limited tables, and that's why you see these limited tables. And that's why we move into a new advanced find. So for that, what I did was I clicked here and I clicked on advanced setting, which ended up opening this page. And here, when I use this upside down umbrella, it's loading. It loads me this one page. And now what is the benefit of this advanced find is there is no limitation on the table that you could select from. You see, it shows you literally all the tables that are available in your environment. So let's say if you are a cross-functional user who wants to work not only with cases, but also with opportunities or prospects, or anything else, then this advanced find can be quite useful for you, because you can search basically any kind of records. If you're a consultant and if you want to look at other details, things like system jobs, to see how my processes are working, this is where it gets a bit technical. So I'm going to stop here and now. You see that I can do that directly from here, but we are going to use this as a very basic session on advanced find to see how we work with it. I'm going to use this window for the next of my session, because if you are able to do things here, then the other one is a piece of cake for you. To walk you through what advanced find looks like and what are these buttons here, we quickly start with uh, look for. Look for is something that you fill in first, because if you are going to start to use advanced find, you already know what you want. For example, if I want to have a look at all the cases that are within my organization, I select the table cases, and then all I need to do is just use results, and then it shows me all the cases. It tells you there are 17 cases in total, but in a normal day-to-day working, there can be a lot more. Let's say over a period of an year, your organization can have thousands of cases, and if it's more than 5,000, it will not show you the exact number, it will show you 5,000 plus. One of the benefits also of this is that you don't necessarily need to have to navigate to a case screen or an account screen. So in this case, I have cases. The moment I shuffle to account, it shows me directly, it lands me to the account page directly. It doesn't really need to be like that. So here you can just click on accounts and then say results, right? I go back. If I want to search again, I click on this advanced find. I click on cases, and there we go, results. So this is as basic as it could get. The next thing is, what if I want to see different columns? So I see only 4 columns right now. What if I want to see different columns? You click on edit columns here. I was a bit too fast. I'm going to try it again. Edit columns, and here you have the option to also add columns. I can add child cases. I can add created by. I can add customer, I can add description, and I say okay. And then I can also change the order of these columns and how they appear. So I can say move right, and I can say move left, and there we go. And there we have our new advanced find view result. This is how it looks like. Um, there is a lot more you can do. For example, if you want to also add a sorting order to it using created on, you can click on that column and say configure sorting. And here you can say, I want to sort it by created on in a descending order. Okay. And now all the results, they will come in the same order of descending. So the ones that were created most recently will appear at the top. That's on sorting, and that's on columns. You could also remove any column that is no longer desired by you. For example, I say, I probably don't need who created the case, so I'm going to remove it. Instead, I want to add owner. I want to see who's actually owning the case, and I can click on owner and say, okay. This is the basic level of advanced find, right? Uh, you can go a bit more advanced, actually a lot more advanced. Let's start first with adding filters. So if I want to add filters to these cases, I want to say, show me all the cases where I am the owner. So I search for that field here. So you can just do it like this. I just type OWN and then it pops up here. And then it automatically selects equals current user for me. And then click on results, and then it shows me 4 cases. But you could also use other filters. For example, you could say where the owner contains Sue, and then it shows my name again because I have Sue in the start, right? You could also change the filter and say where title, oops, say it went all the way to the bottom, where let's say description contains data, and that's a new one. And you see that only one of my cases has an actual description. You could also say, I want to have where my customer equals coffee. And I just typed parts of it, and I can press tab, and then it automatically fills in for me. If you want to add more customers to this, remember this is a lookup. You can just click on the search and keep adding more accounts. So I have Coffee Lab APG added, but I could also say, show me it for these 2 accounts, and then it will show me the cases for these 2 customers. Cool, right? But let's say now that I've included customer in my filter query, I also want to see other details of customer. How would that even be possible? Because right now, when you click on edit columns and when you click on add columns, you see all the cases that are related, all the fields that are related to the cases. So only the fields that are actually added on the case table, only these are accessible to you. But can we also look at additional properties of the customer? Of course we can. So when you click on case, here you can see that other records that are related to this case, for example, if it's a customer, I can use that property as well. Not just the name, that's already visible to us when we add that in the view. But let's say if I want to use fields of customer, I want to include account number, I want to include city, and then I want to include them in my view, and I click OK, and then you see that they are also added here. And when I click on OK and I result it, and then you see that the account number is mentioned, city is mentioned, right? And now I want to filter down furthermore, but this time I'm not going to use a property of the case to filter it down. No, I'm going to use the property of the related customer. So in this case, I want to say, give me all the cases where the related customer is located in Seattle. So for that, I'm going to include a new filter, and I'm going to remove this filter completely that currently filters down the cases for these 2 customers. You could actually keep it and then add more filters to it. Okay, let's do that. And here, what you see is in the columns to select from, in the start you have fields as one section where you see all the fields that are on cases, and when you keep scrolling down you see related, and related shows you all the records that are related to these cases. So in this case I can say show me the customer, and the customer is an account. And when I click on this, it opens this different kind of layout, and it says, okay, now I see that I have all the fields here accessible for account. And I can say, now give me this. And now you see my view only shows me cases where the city is Seattle. Cool, right? This is really powerful. It shows you there are 6 records for this. But there is no limitation to this as well. You could also further drill down even more. You can even add more filters here. You can say where account number contains data, and then it shows me blank. And when I say does not contain data, and then it will show me back that mutually exclusive, right? And now if you want to switch this view completely to something else, you can easily also select a different view that's already created for you. You also see the view that I created previously using the new advanced find. They will all appear here. It will start off by showing you the system views that are by default created for you by Microsoft or by your organization during development. And if I click on one of these, then the filters will be the filters that are for that specific view and the columns as well. I'm not going to do that. And if you want to clear this all and start all over, then you can just click on clear and then it clears it away. What if I want to do and or search? And that's where we have group and group or. So if I have multiple conditions and I want to group them, I want to say case title contains data, and then I have this, and I want to say where the city is either Richmond or Seattle. Okay, so let's make our query. Give me all the cases. Now remember, because we are going to navigate to a property and use that as a filter, that's not on case. City is not a field on case. If I try to look for address one city, it won't be here. There is no way for me to filter, give me all the cases from certain cities. So that's why I need to use the property of the related customer to be able to get to that filter. So I say customer account, and here I say address one city equals Richmond, and address one city equals Seattle. So let's try to not use anything else and just try to do a result. Nothing. Why? Because we are saying it needs to be both, but that cannot be true at the same time. You cannot be in Richmond and Seattle at the same time. So my query was wrong. Therefore, now I'm going to use the or condition. What I did was deselect row. I'm going to do it again because I was fast. So select row, and then group or. And now when I say results, look at that. We have 13 records. There are 13 cases from Richmond and Seattle. What else can we do from this view? You can easily sort them without having to use a sorting profile by clicking on the column itself, and you see that the sorting is like this. And if you click again, sorting is upside down. And the same goes for city. If I want to see the city Richmond first, and I click here and I click again, then I see Seattle first. So it changes the sorting order based A to Z or Z to A. I could also use sorting on created on. So give me the case that was created earliest or then the latest. So now let's focus on seeing if we can do more with what we have in advanced find. What if I want to look at all my customers that have an actual case? So when I clear it, customer basically rings a bell for me for accounts. So give me all the accounts where, again, case is not an actual field on account. So we need to navigate to the related property and say, show me all the cases that contain data. So it will show me all the accounts that have actually cases. In total, there are three. If I remove it, how many accounts do we have in total? Four. So one of them do not have cases. So let's now try to see if we can also get to that customer that does not have any case, does not contain data. Okay. And then you see fourth coffee has no cases. Fourth coffee is completely satisfied with our services. So this is all pretty cool, right? How far does advanced find go in terms of fetching a related properties? Let's try to also explore that. So you can actually say, give me all the, I'm going to use cases again. I'm going to say, give me all the cases where related customer account contains data. I can also just pull up one more record, or actually more than that, but I'm going to say also where product contains data. Related product contains data. And I could also very well say where related product let's try to use it like this: contains data, product contains data. Actually, we can get rid of it because it's a duplicate, and try to get this. So there are in total 16 cases where a customer contains data and product contains data. Now try to fetch these properties as well. So we're gonna get customer and product also added as a column. And you see they also appear here. And now what you can do is, let's say using this, I can add additional filters. For example, I can say, give me all the cases where product name contains 100. So I can say name contains 100. And now it will be filtered down to only these, which makes total sense because all these records have product 100. And then what I can also say is, I have only two customers right now. If I want to further filter down, I want to say if the customer name contains research, right? And this is it. And what if I want to say, give me all the cases that were created in the last 2 weeks? Now, created on is a property of case. So we can use created on. And here we have so many different operators to actually look for it. And this is the best part about advanced find. When you work with dates, you can say created on or before, and then you can choose an actual date and say from 9th, and then you see four cases. Or you could say in the last 7 days, and then there is three. You could also say last week, and there is none. Oh, wait, five. It was created actually not this week, but last week. This month, five. Last month, one. Which makes sense because it was in July. And this month was August. So there we go. And then we can say channel or origin is Twitter. So now I'm focusing on a certain query, and I'm just curious. I want to see how many cases I have this month, which are from Twitter, and which relate to a product that has 100 in its name. So let's say a certain series of product, and where the customer is a research customer. the last one doesn't make sense, so I can just remove it. And then I have still one. It's fine. Because if I change my query to, let's say, last X days and say 50, then I will see literally all the cases. Wait, sorry, I said next, but last X days. And then I see two cases. I think it's because of the origin. If I remove origin, then I'm going to see a lot more cases. And then I see 9 cases. As and when you keep removing filters, you will see more and more records appearing. But I could also just say which are older than X days, and then I can say older than 20 days. I see none. How about 10? 1. How about 3? 9. See how easy it is to play with these operators, and there are so many actually. You can, based on physical year, based on quarter, based on days, weeks, time, month, on exact dates, on or after exact date. So this date operator is these date operators are actually very, very useful in your day-to-day life. Going a little bit more technical, let's say if you're also wanting to see how many of my system jobs, like your workflows that are running in the background and running your automations, which are 2000, I can easily filter on, say, give me all the ones that are actually created on today, because I want to see the logs for today. But I want to focus on failed ones, but there are none today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to say, I want to have a look at my failed one. So I'm going to say status reason equals failed. Then it shows me 32. And you see this really allows you to see also so many different things that you wouldn't normally be able to look at when you're using the new advanced find. System job is definitely not accessible from there unless you actually add that to the app, which doesn't make any sense. But here also you have options to again navigate into further related properties of these records as well. I'm going back again to case, and I'm gonna, instead of constructing a new one, I'm gonna select an existing view, all cases. No, it's just make it active cases, so the filter is automatically added. And now what I can do is I can also, and this is again for a little bit more advanced ones, download a fetch XML, and now it's there. So you can actually use this fetch XML to also use in your JavaScript or the flows that you're working with. You can also see how many ways saved views are there. So normally you have these system views here on your top right side and my views here. But if you want to have a look at all the saved views, you can just click on here and you see these are the saved views that you currently have. You can again click here and activate or deactivate them, delete them, assign them to someone else, and share them like we saw there. So you can say, I want to share it to also, I don't know, all of them. But also you can just switch to from user to team, and then you can share it to this team and say select and then add and then give them the relevant privilege to the team that they should be able to. I don't want to give rights, so I'm going to just say read and then share. So this view will also be visible to them now. Besides this, what you also see difference is when I use status and I said equals, then it shows me a list of options to select from actually. So depending on the field type that you select, you'll get relevant operators as well. So here you can also say, let's say if I use product, then I would, product is a table. So you get a lookup. So you have to select from a certain list of records. Or what you can also do is where it begins with A, and then you see none. And then you say does not begin with A, then you see almost everything. But if I add, let's say, product as a column and we try to play around with it, and I say product, okay, and then I see product here as a column as well. Yeah, here, and I say I want to start with something that begins with S. And now I'll be able to definitely find some results, and I have 8 of them. So this is one of the operators you could also use. You could also say where product contains data. So give me all the cases that are related to a product, and then you see there are 17. And then say does not contain data. So there are no products linked to the case, and then you see none. And then what you could also do is, let's see, does not equal a certain product. So let's say smart brew. So give me everything where we have cases except smart brew. And then you see all these cases, and the product is this, and there is no smart brew. And when I remove it, then the smart brew will appear as well as a case. Um, I think these were the most important ones that I would want to say. And yes, of course, there is something that is also a number. So if you have influence scores, then you can also have other operators like is greater than or is less than. I doubt this field is filled in actually. So if I want to check if influencer field is actually filled in, say contains data, you see none. So that's why I cannot use this operator. But if just for the sake of exercise, I say greater than 10, then it shows me, yeah, if there were any cases, it would actually show that to me. Yeah, so this is basically how advanced find works in a nutshell. I hope this was very informative for you. If I missed anything that you would want to know about on advanced find, feel free to put comments on here, and I will see if I can answer them, or depending on the necessity, I could also make a new video. In the meantime, happy learning.